Hello and welcome to episode 372 of DCP plus SideQuest.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I thought we settled on DCP plus, like Disney Plus or
DCP
something.
plus.
Just DC Plus. You don't need to be repetitious with the
Plus.
P.
Just DC
Oh,
plus.
good
DC
call.
Plus.
I do like that.
I see a
Yeah.
logo
DC
treatment
Plus.
coming
Yeah, you could rebrand like the DC and a plus sign. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody stole our logo anyway. It's time for a new logo.
Not wrong.
How's everybody doing this week? What have you guys been up to?
Sailing the high seas.
Yeah.
You have been sailing
Getting
a
that
lot
booty?
of seas. It's
Yeah.
true.
That's most of it. No Destiny for me. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I got nothing against it. I just haven't played
No,
in a little
I
bit.
imagine there's going to be a lot of shows like that in the next couple of months.
That's
so you're
right.
playing Skull and Bones? What was it called? Skull and Bones?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
joked
Alamo?
in some impressions. I was like, they should have called this game Ships and Cannons because people are expecting it still, I think, to be an Assassin's Creed Black Flag type game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Despite them, it was born out of those ideas from that studio, but it was always focused on ship combat. But
The ship combat was fun in Black Flag.
yes,
So did you ever play much Sea of Thieves?
I did. Yeah.
How do the two compare? Obviously, you can't have 4 people in Skull and Bones. Yeah, it's 3 max, right?
Yeah. So it almost doesn't even matter on that front. The biggest distinction that you need to know if you haven't been following it at all is Skull and Bones is very much, sorry, this is a tough one. Sea of Thieves from Rare. I'm going to say the full studio names, get myself on top of it. But yeah, Sea of Thieves from Rare is all about being the pirate, right? It's got first person
Right.
pirating and you've got a set of guns. And it's very much about shared world experience, and you could get attacked at any time. I think there's a new mode now where, they've evolved. That there's some solutions for that, but it was very much that. You are more the pirate. You also have multiple people. You either have a single sloop, which was just a small ship. Bigger ships were really meant for like more of a crew to play together. So people actually work in the sails and stuff. So Skull and Bones is completely different. It is, you are the ship. That is the focus. It is a naval combat RPG with heavy, MMO. I joked last week. It was MMO light, like RPG elements where you'll be on land, but you're picking up side quests. You're crafting wood planks that you were sailing around and you just saw some wood on the shore, but you don't get off to do that. You're doing it from your ship. So it's got the in town, like pick up your quest, craft stuff, see other players in their pirate garb. So it's supposed to be like, ooh, you look like a purple pirate. I want, where do I get that? But that's it. You don't be like, let's go fight in the back of the city here and duel to the death. You hop on your ships and you can play solo or with up to 3 people. And the interesting part that if you haven't seen, you'd appreciate maybe is it's all about, your naval combat build. So you have I'm going to do a blaze build. The ship has a fire perk on it. And so I'm working my way to that one. It's got, it procs like an actual increased effect of lighting ships on fire. And I've got a shotgun that has that effect. But on the front of my bow, I have a different one that tears the sails, which is going to create a slowing effect. And it has status effects. So you're ship to ship combat.
So if you're playing with up to 3 people, but you're playing as the ship, what do your 2 buddies who join you do?
They have their own ships. Yeah, everybody's the
So
ships.
you're an armada. You're a fleet.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. And importantly on the PvP front though, and we'll see how it evolves with the seasonal stuff, there's just a PvP event that pops up right now. It's like a hot potato event. Pick it up. Whoever grabs it has to go to the finish line. And there you'll have a brief moment where if they didn't already kill you or pick it up themselves, and again, it's kind of like a hot potato. You can go back and forth of who's going to actually get it there. There's no other, you're not just out at sea and get attacked. So it's not that type of experience. That being said, I believe in the very end game, there are zones and events where you can just enter into and be in sort of more circular zone of just battling it out. Yeah.
Okay.
So, again, the season launch is going to have some more stuff there too.
So you got the gun on the front. that shoots the sails. So you can like follow a ship
If you want.
start pegging their sails to slow them down, and then pull along. Or I guess you would try and get the side of your ship to shoot at the back of their ship. Is that what you're trying to get done? Like it's all
No,
about angles, right?
Well, it is. Yeah. I mean, again, what happens is you're sailing in third person if you want. You could also sail in first person, and it literally is, like a first person shooter once you go to battle. What I mean by that, it does have a bit of the strategy element where if you want, you get a top down view, you get a look. As soon as you aim with your cannons, it goes down onto the ship crew level, and you're looking through the cannon reticle. So what happens is you scroll your reticle, and it actually has lines that show you when you're moving to your next cannon type. And so you can see these quadrants effectively on your ship, right? The stern, the bow, the all that stuff, port side. But as you go between them, you start to get a sense of, like on my ship, I've got a tearing culverin level 2 on my left side. So I'm pop, building up a status effect to tear the sails. And then once it's torn, my ship does actually an increase like pop of damage if their sails are torn. So again, I'm just pairing stuff together, but you are crafting or finding these guns through quests and equipping them however you want. So, Brian, maybe your style probably is going to be build a ship where you just ram into everybody with a spike, the rammer. You can put a flamethrower on there and have gas, fuel to just destroy them with flamethrowers up close and
good.
just burn them down. So it's going to be interesting to see how the PvP stuff is. Like, I haven't done too much of it to know, like, how's it really? Is it fun? Is the payoff there? Is the balance there? The whole world is filled with PvE AI factions and ships that you can always just attack at any time, and it's pretty low risk. You could lose your stuff in the water, but you can always drop it off.
Are there quests? Are there like NPCs that are giving you quests, and like is there a main story to follow?
Yeah, it's sort of. It has a through line story depending on where you are in, the East Indies or the open sea around between the coast of Africa. And so far there's been like 2 main quest givers. The first guy was kind of like the Johnny Depp inspired, Pirates of the Caribbean dude. And then now I'm in the East Indies, and it's like this woman who's running like a racket there in town. And then she's trying to control the East Indies with all of these, there's opium trading and all this other stuff. Oh, and actually, I didn't even mention that. It's got the black market side of stuff where in the bar, there's like a secret black market. And these are just side quests and currencies. Like, I really, MMO style, it's not massively multiplayer. There's like 20 people that might be on a server, but it's shared world. So you're not going to like always see the same people. And
Yeah.
But yeah, you can actually like get into the opium trade where you like you pick up opium, you refine it. It takes some time to refine it. It'll be like 20 minutes to get 40 opium. And you're like, all right, well, while that happens, I'm going to go do this quest. So yeah, there's quests all the time like you would experience. Again, especially in like an MMORPG, or I guess to be fair, like Assassins, the open world stuff. Like there's just quests everywhere, right?
I gotta ask, Fran. How do you feel about the controversy? I can probably guess what you're going to say. It's not really controversy, but the clip that has gone wild on Twitter of so Skull and Bones CEO said that it is a quadruple A game, and then a video was tweeted out by just somebody, but it was picked up by a lot of journalists and stuff who show the boarding, what it's like to board another pirate ship.
Oh.
And the clip plays, and if you don't know,
that's very memey.
It's a ship coming up to another ship. A cutscene happens, not even a cutscene, it kind of fades to black and then fades back in. And then, well, boarding's done. Here's what you got.
Right.
So people were like, I think it's like what you opened up with, Fran, is that this is you are the ship. So a lot of the things that you might want as someone who wants like a pirate RPG, you don't really have the pirate RPG feeling.
I mean, you do, right? But that's where it's so subjective. Like, you say that, of course, I know what you mean, the pirate yourself. But is not running a crew and a ship a huge part of being a pirate? And like, I'm not saying it people are working backwards from, expectation.
Yeah.
And yeah, like that's a totally loaded meme. And I think it's kind of funny. What they're describing, if you haven't seen it, it's a takedown. It's literally like in God of War, a context sensitive move, right? Where you get the health down and you do a takedown. There's a little bit of skill involved with getting your ship close enough. But yeah, like people are just, you could take, dude, I could take like any number of things from this game, like quadruple A game, and then like they ported this from not ported, that's the wrong word. This was a previous generation game for a while, right? Back in 2017, 2018. They had to port all those assets. There's a few times where you'll pass by stuff where it looks like that hillside looks like it's like from the PS3 era.
Yeah.
But there's other times, and I'm on PC, mind you, I'm like, this is beautiful. They did a killer job with like the vibe, the color palette at sunset, the reflections. It's all about really the water. They spent a lot of time on making it, the water. But anyway, you could pick anything and be like, AAA, huh? And I think you do that with a lot of games. And I know he said quadruple A. So if you guys didn't catch the quote, yeah, it's a gaffe for a CEO, but I wish there was an audio recording, and I don't know if there is. I'd like to hear it. But I certainly wouldn't defend a CEO who wants to take $70, $90 from you. But as a human, it's hard for me to not be like, dude, there is no such thing as a quadruple A game. And somebody asked him, the question was effectively, I think I have it here. Yeah, they were asking because of the price point, why wasn't it free to play? It had to do with that. I can't find the exact quote, but it was like, why is it not free? Or, we are charging $70, $80. And he's like, it's a quadruple A game, And I'm like, I assume he was being sarcastic, but he learned his lesson. And, he's been doing this a long time. But as a human, I'm sort of like, you can't even like, I guess you can't because he's really rich and you got to be careful. That's your job. But there's no such thing as a quadruple A game. I think the real question is Skull and Bones a AAA game? And since I didn't say it yet, it's like, I enjoy the game. Actually, I think there's a number of people who will get into the naval combat side. There's not a lot of competitors for that. Be the ship shotgun with a flamethrower and go toe to toe, or go into world events. And there's like some monster fights in the sea too. They take some liberties. It's not completely historical, but it's not like monsters all the time either. But yeah, it's like, it's enjoyable in an MMO like light vibe, and like seeing other players who you can invite at any time and meet someone in town. And the game hasn't even launched. It's launching right now as we speak. So yes, it's in early access, but we'll kind of see. I think it's going to score in classic, I'd say the Fran zone of like, yeah, it's like a 7-ish. And people got all up in arms about like, it's not Assassin's Creed Black Flag Part 2. And I'm like, yeah, they haven't really been saying that it has been for a long time. But there was a lot of reports they were going to do a campaign. They had all these aspirations. IGN actually has a really good 30-minute piece that they put a lot of time into. I was wondering, like, was it sponsored by Ubisoft? But it's got a lot of revealing stuff in it. But yeah, you should go through it. You'd be surprised. You're like, okay, yeah, they have been talking about doing like arena style ship combat since the beginning. And what happened was they ended up like got too big for the britches and settled on that. And it is now an open world game that focuses on that. And I think in the spirit of like staying in your lane, yeah, it's a good thing and it's fun. I think we would have some fun out there, by the way, all of us. Yeah. We can't fit all 4 people in a group, as TV pointed out. But yeah, it's not going to be for everybody. And the last thing I'll say is I'm approaching the end game, so I can't speak to it. But it definitely does the thing that MMO style games do, where I knew it was coming. I'm waiting for like a bigger payoff of feeling like, yeah, it's getting real meaty, like in the way that like God of War gets in the sense of combat of like 60, 70% in. I'm like, ooh, it's getting good now. I'm like, I don't know. I just upgrade some of my cannons, and it's a big grind to get to like the next level and probably just focus on the end game. So it's just very grindy in that sense, and it's all right.
Did you play Assassin's Creed Odyssey at all?
I didn't. Very familiar with it, but yeah.
I was wondering, they did ship combat in that, but I didn't find it as much fun as I did in Black Flag for some reason, even though, that was like 6 or 7 years after, I would have thought.
Yeah, this is, the important part is this is mostly rooted Ubisoft Singapore, which did do Black Flags, way back now, though. You're talking a long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they did that, and that's what it was born of. So they did the ship combat, and that was the inspiration, was the focus on that. So it is that team, and it's going to be more that. I don't know if they helped with Odyssey's ship combat at all, because they'd be having developed this game,
Yeah.
But they do all help each other, and this team has also helped on some Assassin's Creeds and stuff. So it's not like they didn't.
Are there sea shanties?
Yes.
Yes.
Sold.
Yes,
I'm in.
there are.
I'd say that's mandatory.
I'm
There
in.
are.
Can I have a parrot on my shoulder?
That's actually a really good question. There are, you could have like a sort of mini mountain lion cat or something. I don't know what kind of cat it is. In Maine, they have those big cats. It's more like that. What are those big cats they have like up towards Maine and North? You've never heard of these? They're huge, like
The big
domestic. No, they're like domestic cats that are like huge.
Like Maine Coon?
Something like that, but it's a cat varietal.
They're
But anyway, you can have pets. So like a little lemur or that, and you
Yeah.
can have it look at you. I don't know about a bird. That's a good question.
I will say,
I'm sure
Sea
it's
of
the only
Thieves
thing about-
always. I was just gonna say, Sea of Thieves always crushed that part of their game, was the cosmetics and the upgrades.
Totally.
I got really lucky because a good friend of mine I met through Destiny actually works at Rare, and he would always. I'd be like, "Hey man, that new Plague Doctor skin looking pretty good." He's like, "I got you. I got you. Check your account."
Matt, so I still think that the best pirate game was Puzzle Pirates. That's right. Puzzle Pirates.
Never
Puzzle Pirates
heard
was
of it.
amazing.
I gotta Google
So-
this one.
I don't know what that is.
It's quite old. I played it many, 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 many years ago. And the reason that I really liked it is so a lot of the combat and everything is done through puzzles. So various different puzzles, kind of like fun puzzles, like Candy Crush kind of stuff or Suika game kind of thing a lot of the time. But this game allowed you to own shops on islands. So you could own like a cannonball shop, and other players would come and visit your shop to buy their cannonballs. So it was a whole like player economy with how cheap can you make the cannonballs? How expensive are yours? Okay, this island's got really cheap cannonballs. So you could do everything. You could be a clothes maker with that. You could be a carpenter to fix ships. There was so much that you could do. And then you could also own islands. So you'd have big PvP battles to either defend an island or take over an island. And then that fed into the shops because you had to get prepared with cannonballs and like ways to fix your ship. So you had all the people on your island really getting ready for this massive warfare that was going to happen. So
This game
I
is
love that.
crazy.
It's like really good in terms of a RPG as a pirate, right? Like I can
Sure.
own a shop, I can take over an island, I can become this like massive captain that everyone knows about because you always had successful pillages against the Skull Army. Or you could go to Atlantis as well, by the way, and you would
I
go
would
on
like
like
to go to Atlantis.
a long
Sign me up.
campaign
It's on my bucket
fighting
list.
enemies. And then you get so much loot at the end of the boss fight in Atlantis. Oh man, that was good stuff.
Interesting.
People
Yeah,
are
that
still
actually
playing
meant that-
this too.
It's pretty fun.
Yeah, I was gonna say that
Actually
reminded me
pretty
there are trade routes, and I think like running trade routes and making money in the background. So that's an element that I haven't done yet.
Mm.
But I don't think it's anything quite like that. But there's something to it, like owning a trade route. So I don't know if you have to go out and defend it occasionally, but
Puzzle Pirates, man. Someone make a game like Puzzle Pirates. It's not puzzles. The puzzles are actually pretty fun. Not normally a huge fan of puzzles, but the puzzles on there are actually really good. Good times. I suppose we should jump into Destiny
Oh,
Because-
really?
Must we?
there was a billion-word TWAB that came out.
Oh,
The
boy.
chonker.
can you read it for us?
It is chunky. I can read it. There's definitely, so I'm gonna do some things where I don't read absolutely everything. There will be
Yeah.
some pieces that I want to read lots of stuff. But yeah, we can jump into. So it's a big thing. It's like Sandbox, big Crucible updates. They also have another TWAB next week where they're going to be talking even more about Crucible stuff. So
Yeah, it really does
there's a
sound to
lot.
me like the transition is going to be similar in terms of how impactful it's going to be on PvP as the transition between Warmind and Forsaken. You remember when
big, yeah.
like it was a huge overhaul in how PvP and Destiny plays, and this feels like the next big step
It is a big step, and this update is coming on March 5th. So all of these things are March 5th. Some of the stuff from Final Shape has been pushed into this update, and some things from Into the Light in April have also been pushed to this update. So there's a lot of stuff in here that's going to make things feel pretty fresh. So I'll start with abilities and ability uptime because they're doing some stuff with that. So with Threaded Spectre, which has been threadlings and threaded spectre has become quite a problem in PvP because people were like,
it's
that
threadling hell.
the movement-based subclass. What if we just spammed not movement instead? So
I have a great clip from Trials this past weekend where a guy came around the corner and I shot him once, bink, and he went dodge, made 2 specters, threw a threadling grenade and ran around the corner. It was just so comical. It's like anything I can do to not have an active gunfight, I'm gonna do it.
Yep.
And we're just standing there like, really, bro?
So Threaded Spectre, this is like PvE stuff first, and then there's PvP stuff. So Ensnaring Slam, they are reducing the ability regeneration penalty by 50% in PvE activities. That's where you slam down and you suspend people. That's good. You can actually use it more. Threaded Spectre now applies the same class ability regeneration penalty used by Ensnaring Slam when the player creates a Threaded Spectre. Increased Threaded Spectre detonation damage by 25% in PvE to combat it. Less spammy. Threadlings are getting hit. So they've increased the aim assist size to threadlings. I'm not gonna give you the numbers because you don't know what it means.
They're easier to shoot now.
You can shoot threadlings easier.
That's the bottom line.
Yep.
They're making threadlings easier to eliminate. If they're coming at you in a wave, you don't have to please die for the love of God. They'll just die when you shoot them.
And they increase the aim assist.
If you use the auto-targeting sidearm, they target threadlings. So if you're struggling, you can auto-target threadlings.
Smart.
They're reducing base damage versus enemy players from 40 to 35. And then the damage with Thread of Evolution is going from 45 to 38.5. And then they fix some issues. Cool. They're also doing some things with Arcane Needle, which is the Warlock's melee strand. They're increasing the aim assist angle by about 50%. They've increased aim assist fall off distance from 30 to 45 meters, increased tracking angular velocity by about 5%.
The short story is they're going to be easier to hit people with now.
Yeah.
That's all you got to know.
Arcane Needle, easier to hit things.
Boom.
Now we have Restoration and Radiant updates, which I think this is maybe a little bit of talk of the town. But they've rebuilt a significant portion of these keyword buffs to store their timer data more safely. What does that mean? No idea. Restoration and Radiant fixed an issue where the maximum duration of Restoration and Radiant buffs were being incorrectly stored, resulting in their buff timers resetting to their initial duration instead of their maximum when the buff was reapplied. So they're just getting better. They're fixing that bug. This also resolves similar issues with shorter restoration sources like sunspots with the Sol Invictus aspect. They're also adjusting Ember of Mercy, so they're making it to where it extends your current restoration duration by 2 seconds when a fire sprite is collected. If you don't already have restoration active, collecting a fire sprite grants restoration with a 2-second duration. This restoration extension is increased to 3 seconds while you have Amber of Solace. And then you have Ember of Empyrean, increase the maximum duration extension from 12 to 15%. And they've reworked the duration extension granted with each solar defeat. So previously, it always granted a 4-second duration extension regardless of the type of target defeated. But now the duration extension varies on the strength of the target defeated. So if you defeat an elite or weaker combatant, it will result in less time or more time to your buff.
What's that make me?
It makes you. Do you use solar loadouts a lot?
Negative.
Well, there you go. This means nothing. Solar ability buff. So they're buffing some solar stuff for Sunbreakers. Consecration is getting the increased travel distance of the initial ground follow from 18 to 20. Increase the height of the slam ground follow detonation by about 1 meter. Increase the travel distance of the slam ground follow from 16 to 20 meters. And increase the travel speed of the slam ground follow, including the one with Pyrogale gauntlets, from 16 to 24. It's better.
Gonna go a little
is
bit further
go
and
up
faster.
further, faster.
And you can't
Harder?
just jump to avoid. Boom.
There you go. Better big.
Which is good, because Consecration, I will say, Consecration has always been a really freaking cool ability in terms of
look cool,
what you do.
yeah.
You get 2 hammers up, bring them down, and you can do crazy ignitions and blow everybody up. But it's so hard to land that thing, and so many times it looks like it just goes right. Like somebody just high-fived your wave of fire and was like, cool, man. And then they just shotgun you in the face. So, yeah, that'll be neat.
With Gunpowder Gamble, I'm actually kind of excited about this. They've reduced the maximum self-damage from 144 to 80. Because it's really easy to kill yourself with that thing. So you can actually you can use it a little bit easier. So those are the ability stuff. Now we go to weapons, and look who it is. It's Chris Proctor, because he says, "G'day, Guardians, Guardians, good day, Guardians." Yes. So weapon archetypes, heavy burst hand cannons. They've corrected an issue that was causing them to have 25% less aim assist when hip firing or airborne on mouse and keyboard. Very specific. So congratulations if you're in the air hip firing on mouse and keyboard.
With your Warden's Law.
You're more accurate. Bows, big one. Reduce the auto aim fall off distance start and end by 15%. So aim assist will be less effective at long range. And they've reduced the maximum auto aim cone size by 5%. Bows, harder to use a little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit.
This is really, I think that's
PvP.
a good sort of segue too, real quick. Just to note that as we're reading a lot of these changes, to contextualize them for you,
Yes.
one of the major themes of this whole TWAB is, hey guys, this is basically what they said, hey guys, our game's been out for a long time and everyone's gotten a lot better at it. Initially, we had a lot of forgiveness built into a lot of these weapons, but now you guys are really good at the game and we're going to dial that forgiveness back. So doing the optimal thing with your gun is going to require a little more skill from you in order to do it.
Yep.
So that's why you'll see things like aim assist getting reduced on bows and on sniper rifles. You want to get the one-shot kill, you'll want to tag that guy up and blint him, you're going to have to be a little bit more precise in order to do it. Stuff like that. Yeah. Body shot damage and headshot damage getting fudged. When we're reading these changes, all of that sort of goes back to that point they're making. Hey, we got to make it a little bit harder for you.
Yeah, you're still gonna get killed by Le Monarch and Wishender, though. Let's face it.
Well, you know, they're nerfing Wishender. To contextualize that a little bit more, is they also have found that a lot of players die and they don't really know why. So they're wanting to make it easier for players to understand the sequence of events that led to their death, so that they can know how they can avoid it. And yeah, because you get one shot by something, you're like, wait, what even hit me? That's never really a good thing in any video game. You want to be like, okay, I know that happened, and in order to avoid it, I have to do this. So the changes that you're seeing might also be to do with that.
That's what are they adding anything to address that?
It's part of the Crucible sandbox stuff, their goals. So I'm sure as we read into the Crucible sandbox stuff, we'll see.
All right.
Okay, so next we have auto rifles. They're adding the 12th perk target lock to breakneck. Cool. Lightweight scout rifles are getting a 5% buff. Sniper rifles are getting a reduced auto aim cone size of 10%. Rocket launchers, precision ones, are getting an increased reserve ammo by 2 and reduced damage penalty from minus 10% to minus 5%. High impact, they're increasing the reserve ammo by 2. It now deals more detonation damage and less impact for roughly the same total damage. This should make them more effective versus groups or when getting splash damage. The above changes also affect Deathbringer, Galahorn, and Truth.
Ooh.
There you go. Heavy grenade launchers, they've increased reserve ammo by a minimum of 6 rounds, a maximum of 10, depending on the grenade launcher. Reduce spike grenades impact damage buff from 50% to 12.5. Woo!
Ooh.
That's a big
No.
number. With the below changes, this reduces the total spike grenades damage buff from about 8% to 3%, making them less mandatory.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It sounds like they just want to get away
Yeah.
from that. People just crutching on that for damage grenade
Yep.
launchers, which is actually a good thing.
It is a good thing. Yeah.
Even if your favorite spike grenade launcher might not be as effective.
To do spike grenades, all kind of works with it. Increase the direct hit damage by 10%. Combined with the above change, this brings non-spike grenade launchers almost up to the level of spike grenade launchers and very slightly reduces damage output with a spike grenade launcher. And then they've increased the detonation damage by 5%. In PvP, this is offset by a reduction to detonation damage for no overall change. Wave frame heavy grenade launchers. They've increased the damage by 20% and increased the wave width by 40%. Is that new grenade launcher we're getting? Is that a heavy one that we're getting? No, it's a special, isn't it? I don't remember. One of the new ones they're adding. Because that would be nice if it was. Caster swords, they reduced the heavy attack energy cost from 5 to 4 and increased heavy attack damage by 16%. I like that because I like using the brand new swords from the dungeon had one and the seasonal one was a sword. And they are fun to use. Next, we have exotics. So Vigilance Wing is now getting a deterministic recoil pattern. So that's cool. Yeah. And it's going to do the same thing every time and you can learn it to control it better. Vex Mythoclast is getting an increased ADS damage fall-off scaler from 1.5 times to 1.7. So it's going to have... Because it's classed as a high, well, not class, but it fires the same as a high impact auto rifle.
Right.
Other high impact auto rifles have a larger aim down sight damage fall off scaler. So Mythoclast now matches that. So it should have slightly better range.
I think that's the be all end all. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what that means. I need the patch notes for dummies where it's just like range further.
What does mean? Yeah, that's right.
Maybe some pictures too.
maybe
Stick
a video
figure drawings.
Yeah, that would be great.
Got a guy really far away holding his ankle and rolling around.
That would be perfect. Wish Ender. True Sight will now deactivate if you leave ADS or hold it for longer than 3 seconds. To reactivate, you must fully redraw the bow. You can't just stand there looking through walls forever.
Good.
Suckers.
Yeah, Wish Ender, dude, especially in Checkmate. And it's like, man, Checkmate is so good. Why must you ruin it? It does
I mean, it's always bad. That's a nice change because it did just permanently you could follow and look, right? Depending on the range they were at, right? But in other words, like if you're on a team with comms, like some people are just providing info. Like it's more than just aiming at them.
Yeah. Wall hacks in general, I don't think are good in a PvP shooter of any kind.
Really?
They add it to every shooter though, right? Every single one. There. Apex has got it. Like, they add it to everybody.
All right, if you had to choose TV, getting frozen in place or wall hacks, which would you get rid of?
Well,
in its current state.
In its current state, I'd get rid of the wall hacks. Stasis freezes aren't that oppressive, and I think that most of them have to be earned if you're gonna freeze somebody, and I mean even like cold snap grenades are mega inconsistent.
Yeah,
like even when you're using the enhanced tracking courtesy of an exotic slot, they're still really inconsistent.
Yeah, they are.
Good intel. I just hate the feeling, but yeah, in the long run, I think you're right.
Next, we have Edge of Action, which is the Titan-specific glaive that does a little bubble. They've increased its damage resistance in PvE against all combatants except bosses to 85% and increased its damage resistance against bosses to 15%. Nice. Little mini ward done. Now, Manticore is pretty interesting. They're doing quite a lot to Manticore. Manticore is the in-the-air SMG, if you're not aware. So players now must be airborne for 0.5 seconds and deal damage with the weapon to activate the perk. The reason they did this is because if you were jumping down some stairs, you'd just be in the air. And you're like, and the only way you could get out was by switching your weapon. So that was the thing. So that should stop that from accidentally being activated.
Right.
We gave it a special reload to quickly disengage the anti-gravity thrusters. So switching weapons will continue to disengage it, but they're adding a way for you to disengage it without switching weapons.
Have you ever thought about the kind of core strength your Guardian would need to have in order for the gun to have thrusters and you to just be hanging with it instead of like hanging on like this? You know what I mean?
Seriously.
Like the fact that you've
Space
got
magic.
it here. Dude, we're so friggin' swole. Wild.
Taraba is
space
also space abs are better than Earth abs.
Facts.
Right.
Mhm. Taraba is also getting the special reload animation. Nice.
Ooh. Always a fan of reload animations.
While anti-grav thrusters are engaged, combatants will be less accurate when targeting the player, similar to the always-on-time Sparrow. Interesting. And with the catalyst, final blows and sustained damage with Manticore while airborne grant a void overshield and return ammo to the magazine. That sounds pretty fun. You could just be in the air. If you're doing it in PvE,
Yeah.
you can be in the air,
That sounds
getting an
nice.
overshield, getting your ammo back. They can't hit you.
And if you got like volatile rounds up on like a grenade kill, that could be kind of fun for ad clear.
Yep. I would try it in PvP and see like, because it's final blows and sustained damage. So I wonder how much sustained damage to get an overshield. But even then, like you can get a final blow in the air and you get a void overshield and your ammo back.
Yeah, that's solid. I mean, I like the sound of that as somebody who likes void a lot and SMGs and PvE. Like, yeah, I don't really use that. Like, I'm not a fan of floating in the air. Like usually on harder difficulties, that's the last place you want to be.
Right.
So I just like can't imagine wanting to use Manticore in PvE that much, but it is a void. And yeah, to me, that catalyst completely changes the appeal of that as an exotic, but on paper. But man, that sounds fun.
Yeah.
Getting
it
a void
sounds
overshield and just getting ammo back and like being
Yeah.
able to sustain that sounds like it'd just be more fun.
It does. It sounds like a fun change that you could do. You could probably do some fun stuff with it. Exodus, which is the Boomer Knight grenade launcher, they've increased impact damage against PvE enemies by 50%. Detonation damage is ineffective, so the total damage increase works out to be around 20%. And they've increased the maximum rate of fire by 17%.
Oh.
You're gonna be booming. Booming.
Neat.
Next, we have perks. Heal Clip is now granting cure ×2 to the player while still granting cure ×1 to nearby allies. Very nice.
More
Trench
healing.
Barrel, big for Trench Barrel, can now be activated by dealing damage with ranged melee attacks. That's pretty good. Barrel Constrictor, once activated, it no longer deactivates upon firing a shot. It lasts for 7.5 seconds, and it buffs all shots fired during that time. Seems pretty cool.
I don't know if I'm going to use it or not. But...
Yeah, I think the problem is that this is usually in the same spot as like opening shot and stuff.
That's right. You just want something that's like consistent, always working. Yeah.
Yeah. Loose Change is getting pretty significant buff. Applying a subclass 3.0 debuff now grants plus 20 aim assist and 20% reduced ADS speed penalty in addition to the existing plus 50 reload stat. And then if you apply another buff during that duration, it will extend it.
I'm going to say this right now.
Yeah.
That sounds pretty cool as a buff to a perk that nobody cared about.
Yeah.
It's also a really good opportunity to make that the catalyst perk for Collective Obligation. Because that exotic is all about applying void debuffs.
It is.
Weaken, suppress, etc. Volatile. Yeah, that could be a really cool cool way to buff that gun too. They should do it.
They should do it. And like
give me credit.
Applying a subclass 3.0 debuff is really easy in a lot of builds. So it'll be a very easy thing to do. We have dual loader. Dual loader's pretty cool too. So they've removed the reload speed penalty, and they've changed the wording of the perk description to make it clearer that it increases the number of shots reloaded so they can apply it to other weapon types in the future without it being confusing. So it's like just a shotgun thing. So dual loader, there's like no penalty now. No. And then they said since they're shipping a couple of Tex Mechanica legendary weapons, they're doing some stuff with Tex balance stock. So now it grants plus 20 range and a plus 1.5 degree hip fire precision cone angle in addition to its other effects, making it easier to land follow-up crits with hip fire. It is all about hip fire. Tex Mechanica weapons are gonna hip fire better.
Cool. Why aim?
I like the TLDRs. Just why aim? I like that.
Why aim?
Why aim? Hake breach armaments, deconstruct and sundering now work against void souls, strand clones, cabal projection shields, and breaks. Sure, I mean that's good. If it's a perk that's supposed to be about destroying things, that's good.
That's fine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, by the way, am I the only one that when I'm going through all this, like, if they're going to put all this detail in, why don't they just state what the perk is and then also how it's, getting buffed?
It would be nice, yeah. It would be very nice.
I get some people play it a ton and might know all this off the top of their head, but I'm always like, I think that has to do
again?
Yeah,
it just would read so much better to me where it's like, this weapon deals increased damage against vehicles and constructs. And then it's like, now works against void souls, strand clones, cabal. You get the idea.
Yeah, I had to.
This would be nice from an editorial perspective.
When I read this TWAB earlier today, and I had the game open, and I was reading through the changes to certain fragments. I had to literally look up the fragments. So what does that one do again? I'd pull it up on the screen just to remind myself, because we made it so this fragment now does this. I'm like, I don't even know what that one does originally. There's so many fragments.
And that's exactly it too. It's like it adds so much more value to reading what the update is, because in your mind, let's just say this one, you're like, oh yeah, that's just like vehicle damage. And it's like, no, it's also constructs. So you got to remember the exact details. But anyway, just an editorial note if anybody out there is listening.
And then we have Sundering, which is an origin trait. And it has a fairly high uptime in Warlord's Ruin because of the number of eye turrets. However, a perk themed around breaking stuff feels like it could apply more broadly. So now it's going to trigger on shield break as well as final blows on vehicles and constructs. So that's nice. That's real nice. Hatchling. I'm excited about Hatchling because I'll read the Hatchling thing first, and then I'll say why I'm excited. So activation requirements are no longer locked to the archetype in terms of precision or non-precision kills. Instead, the perk will trigger with either a precision kill or 3 non-precision kills. So when we were talking about the new GL that's coming, the Strand GL that's coming with this update, we were like, oh yeah, hatching on it, that might be really fun. But then we were like, but you have to get like precision kills, or it's going to be really unreliable to make use of it in a grenade launcher. But now if you shoot it and it kills 3 things, you get to make a little baby.
You make a baby.
Make a baby. Target lock is getting nerfed. It now activates later in the magazine for SMGs at 20% instead of 12.5%. So the damage buff will swing primary weapon gunfights less often.
I don't think it's enough. That's the only thing in here about SMGs.
It's not going to be enough for SMGs. Yeah, SMGs need to be brought down in general.
This is a controversial opinion, and I'm not saying that I want this to happen. I'm simply making a statement that I think that Destiny PvP would be a more balanced experience if SMGs didn't exist. I think you would have more weapon balance if SMGs did not exist, because they overshadow too many other archetypes and make them irrelevant.
They do, yeah.
It's like it's the one purpose, the jack of all trades. Like, oh, you want to have a primary duel at mid range SMG, close range SMG. You want to be a brawler. SMG. No matter what it is, it's just SMG is the right call. And so that's why you don't see a whole lot of rapid fire frame auto rifles. The only thing people are using is Amit and high impact ones for range, and sidearms don't get as much usage, and even shotguns. A lot of times people are like, well, why do I need a shotgun? I've got an SMG, so I'll use a sniper rifle instead. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'm not saying I want that to happen. I'm just saying.
Well, but actually, just out of curiosity, because like you're talking about PvP, because in PvE, I think you feel it quite a bit. But if do you think PvP would play like just a lot better without SMGs in general being allowed? Just if you stripped them all out, you'd be like, yeah, I just think it'd be more fun. Like, do you think it would make it more fun, or was it like
I don't know,
it makes it less interesting?
SMGs are fun. I mean, I'm not gonna say SMGs aren't fun. I'm not trying to kill anybody's fun. I love. But
what happens if you get rid of them?
If you get rid of them, I think what you do is you create more variety.
That's what I want. More build variety. You think is by taking out a gun class?
To be clear, because I'm gonna get like
you can have an opinion.
I can see the YouTube comments right now. I don't want them to delete SMGs. Please don't
deleting
crucify me.
SMGs because of True Vanguard.
It's TV's
fault. I know that's what you're thinking.
That's
if
the TLDR.
And when they do such a move, you will be blamed for it. But you're gonna get blamed for something anyway.
Oh yeah, I know what the thumbnail is.
Fair. Please don't do this to me, Briar. It's been a hard week.
All right.
Anyways, continue.
Envious Assassin. It's getting nerfed. Each activation is now capped at 100% of the magazine instead of 150%, and the maximum overflow is now 3 times the magazine size instead of 4. It's now just very good instead of always best. Probably.
Oh yeah. Defeating targets with other weapons before drawing this one transfers ammo to the magazine from reserves.
There you go.
Okay.
Next we have Bait and Switch. Reduced damage bonus from 35% to 30%. I feel like that is actually a decent thing. And they're not killing it. It's been the go-to thing.
Sure.
1-2 punch now correctly deactivates after dealing damage with a powered melee. And Deconstruct updated the perk description to correctly state that it pulls ammo from thin air, not reserves, and they fixed a bug to prevent the perk from triggering when shooting an enemy Titan barricade.
Am I reading that? Is that a lore update? That they were like, I mean, I guess would it affect, but I mean, the fact that it said it came from reserves, I guess it just wasn't doing it.
Comes from thin air.
But they had to be like, I mean, it's got to mean lore something. Like you can craft bullets out of air.
Space.
Well,
maybe.
Essentially. Isn't that like...
Makes sense. I guess that's what those green bricks are.
Isn't that what our ghost does? Like it learns how to create things, and that's how it can summon your sparrows. It basically learns the blueprint and creates it from nothing.
As you know, I'm not a lore master, and I already put my foot in my mouth because you're like, yeah, that happens all the time. I mean, you've been paying
Yeah, bro. Do you even play this game, Fran?
Like, where do you think the bullets come from in the first place? Oh, yeah. I don't know. I thought they came from like the insides of the guardians that you kill. They have
just like ripping it
out
of my
like
belly
a small
button.
intestine, and then they have like a special ammo colon that just drops out.
Turns out guardians eat tons of ammo.
Oh, they Titans for sure.
God knows I do in PvP.
Next up, we have the Crucible update. We went through some of the goals already, which TV went over, and then I mentioned they want people to know why they died. And it's important to note that these changes are not being applied to Mayhem, Momentum, or Checkmate. This is just basic PvP stuff. No funny dunny stuff. So I do want to read this bit. So they do go into players have gotten better. We made things like only require, for example, hand cannons only required 67% crits to achieve the optimal time to kill, and then you were able to just hit someone with Wish Ender and then switch to a hand cannon and body shot them and get the kill. And that is the leniency that they were talking about that TV mentioned earlier, that because the average skill was lower, they added some leniency, but they're kind of pulling that back a little bit. And they said that these symptoms are all generated by a handful of root causes, each generally linked to the others in a cycle of balance that encourages to touch all of them at once if we're making big changes, or in smaller increments if we're modifying things individually. We have certain ability builds with either higher uptime or higher potency that we believe healthy. To help keep those builds in check, we've provided a near constant availability of special ammo, which means that there's always a surplus of one-shot kills. And then to keep primary weapons competitive, we made primary weapons more lethal, fast-killing, and more forgiving. And that, TLDR, this is what power creep is.
Yeah.
Where they're like, okay, well, supers are up all the time, so they need to have special ammo to deal with the supers. Okay, well, special ammo is really deadly, so now primary weapons need to be better because everyone's just using special weapons. And then TLDR, power creep. So they have a high risk versus reward problem. So they're doing some stuff to change that. The first one, which is really big, player health is being increased by 30 HP.
Wow.
Good way to deal with power creep. Add the bigger health bar, baby.
Big health bar. Yeah, so we are going to have 30 more HP in base Crucible. So players have 100 health up from 70 and 116 to 130 shield, depending on resilience.
So that base is, I was just like, that's actually like, is that 40? Nearly a 43% increase. Because it's 100 health up from 70.
Yep.
That's a lot.
It is.
I'm going to have to
50%
retrain my
increase.
brain because 200 is such an easy number to remember, and to do math on the fly when you're taking shots and you see 270s pop up, you're like, one more 70 and he's dead. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's pretty easy to do that math in your head. I'm going to have to retrain my whole thinking on player health.
216 to 230. Somewhere around there.
Mm-hmm.
We've got ability cooldowns. So melee grenade and class ability cooldowns now have a 15% penalty applied to them in Crucible only. And super cooldowns have a 20% penalty applied to them in Crucible only. This is all Crucible only, like all of this.
And this is the stuff on March 5th, I believe.
Yep.
Correct.
Yep.
The corner.
Big update. Very soon, yeah. Ability damage. Now remember, you're going to see a lot of numbers going up, but that's because players are having 30 more health.
Right.
So a lot of these things aren't just like, oh my god, you're adding 20% damage to a shotgun. It's player health went up.
But also
Yeah,
cooldowns
like having-
are longer too.
Yes, cooldowns are also longer for abilities.
Yeah, I mean, that's why that number could be useful, is it's nearly 43% for the base health. You know, I didn't count the shields, but as we look at these percentages, that might make a bit more sense.
Yeah, so yeah, that's actually good.
43%
Keep that in mind.
base health
43%
increase.
Yeah. Supers are getting an increased base super damage by 31%. Melee increased base melee damage by 16%. And then arc flux grenade damage by 16%. What's the math on that, Fran?
It's less than a third, I think, of 43%.
I wonder how much this is going to throw off your timing. Like if you're
more than a third.
a regular Crucible player where you're just used to the timing of like pumping so many bullets from your submachine gun into a guy before you throw out the melee to get the kill. Like, is this going to throw off the timing enough that you're just standing there looking at this guy still alive as he's still pumping bullets into you?
You're
Or
going to
is
have to
is
get
it all
used
gonna kinda
to
equal out?
I think there's definitely, I feel like with a lot of this, there's going to be an increase in, at least if you're hitting body shots, time to kill.
Yeah.
Because they
Yeah.
want to
Yeah.
make you have to be more precise.
Yeah, exactly. Like as you're gonna read, like they're increasing damage on hand cannons, pulse rifles, submachine guns before TV takes them away. You know, stuff like that.
We can get into that. So, pulse rifles, auto rifles, sidearms, and scout rifles are getting an increased critical hit damage by 14%.
But no
Hand
body
cannons?
shot damage increase. So it's all crit
Not
hits.
for
Not on those.
Not for
Okay.
that.
Okay.
Hand
For hand
cannons
cannons.
increased critical hit damage by 10%, reduced body shot damage by 5%, and reduced flinch dealt to players by projectile impact by 12.5% and by explosive payload by 10%.
So, you guys, since you play PvP so much, do you know like a number for critical hit damage on a hand cannon, like an
A
actual damage
140
number?
will do 70. A 140 hand cannon will do 70 damage to the head.
That's like the max. So I mean, if I'm reading that right, that's on a crit. That would be 77 if I'm doing my math right.
77, and then you have 30 more health.
So that's 221 damage. Yeah. Or no, I'm sorry, 231
Retap
damage?
would be 231.
231, yeah.
Yeah. So what were we saying that max health might be? Is 230?
216 to 230. Yep.
So there you go.
Oh,
So three tap is still viable.
But you're also doing 5% less body shot damage.
So
right.
2 to the head, 1 to the body.
If you're not hitting their head.
But who doesn't hit headshots, right?
I don't know.
You make it sound like
not
I'm
people
missing.
who listen to this podcast. Headshots all around here.
Only headshots. Yep.
I never even see the damage on a body shot.
What's a
Do you
white
know what the
number?
body, at that sort of range, what the body shot damage would have been offhand or no?
What
By
is it?
comparison.
Wow, it's like 40. Is it 43?
See, they hit
43
headshots.
sounds
That
about
was a
right.
test. 40 something.
I never hit body shots. I don't know.
Trick question.
That's not what I
You're
did.
supposed to be like, I don't hit. I haven't done it. I have to watch.
I've
Fallout
never
Plays.
seen that number. I've never seen
Let me
it.
check a Fallout Plays video for that. Got him.
Next, we have SMGs. Increased critical hit damage by 12.5%, but reduced body shot damage by 3%. And then bows reduced base damage by 15%. Getting
Take
more
that,
health.
Le Monarch, I assume.
Yeah, just all of them. All of them.
Yeah.
Every bow. Less
Yeah,
damage.
if anytime an exotic's excluded, they'll say it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That'll be nice. I mean, Le Monarch, I haven't played in a while, but it's still a terror, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bows, if
You're like,
anything,
oh,
have just gotten worse. Yeah.
Yeah.
more
Every time
people
I played
using-
Trials, it'd be like Le Monarch's going to be in there every other match.
Yeah, pretty much. Now, another huge change is special ammo acquisition. So they're basically putting in the way that Checkmate special ammo works and putting that into everywhere. So if you are unsure of how that works, you currently start with enough special ammo for 2 kills. And this ammo you get to keep when you respawn or when you get rezzed if you haven't used it. And it also persists between rounds. Now, the reason for that is because you are earning the rest of your special ammo. So you have to get to 100 points. And then once you get to those 100 points, you get 2 kills more worth of special ammo. And there's a bunch of point values. I'll go through just like a control match because they do every single thing. So we'll go through just so you can get an idea. So base point values to get your special ammo. Kills are going to give you 23. Assists are 10. Deaths are 10. Zone capture is 14. And heavy ammo pull is 8. And you need 100 to get special ammo.
That's interesting. I mean, if straight up you get 4 kills with a primary weapon, you don't get special back. You're not there yet.
No.
You have to get 4 kills and then die, or 4 kills and then an assist, or 4 kills and capture a zone. That's a significant reduction to special uptime in PvP.
It is, yeah.
I mean, you think about how, right now we just get enough special for 2 kills on every respawn. And on average, you're probably in a control match, you're probably dying anywhere between 15 and 20 times in a match. I mean, I don't, but most people. I'm just kidding. Fallout Plays does. He's playing that upper end. I can tell. I can confirm, as a good friend of Fallout Plays, he does in fact suck at the game. But I love you, kid. But anyways, it's a significant reduction to uptime. You think like in my matches? I spent 4 hours playing Control today on stream, and most matches, the average person was finishing with 18 to 20 kills. Yeah. In a Control match. So you break down the math on that, you're getting special back on kills alone. What is that?
What do you want? 20 kills times that?
Dude,
And
give me just
23
20
points.
kills, 23 points.
That's 460 points.
460
So that's
points
4.
you need. So that's 4 times on kills alone you're getting special.
Like 8
But if you
shots
had
of
gotten
special in
4
total.
assists during that time, you'd have a total of 5.
You get 10, instead of 20. Yeah,
So if you got,
Oh yeah, that's true, because that's defeats. That's not kills.
Yeah.
So it's even going to be even less than that on kills alone.
It is going to be less than that,
Obviously, you're earning in other ways by dying, by capping zones too.
Capturing, Capturing's
It's-
14, which is quite a lot.
It's still a huge reduction of uptime.
The only thing that I will say, so I actually do quite like the way they do special ammo in Checkmate. The only thing that I think Bungie really needs to work on is they're nerfing the uptime of supers. So that does make Bubble and Well better because they recharge a lot faster.
Yeah.
And then because we're going to have a lot less special ammo, we now don't really have a way to deal with the bubble because people used before conditional finality, they used with a horde. Now they use conditional finality to go against a bubble. So I think it would be good if they could get ahead of that before the problems start happening because it will end up being a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, and how did they do it again in Checkpoint for getting special ammo? Is it the same?
It's
the same. Yeah, it's this.
It's this.
Is it this? It's funny because
Yeah.
they have a meter. I didn't even notice.
Yeah.
Yep.
I tried it. Obviously, not that much. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll have to try a little more closely. But is it these point values?
No.
Okay.
No, because
So it's
in the
just a slightly
current
different-
iteration, well, I can say that in trials at least, it's different.
Right. It
'cause
depends on
Yeah,
the mode.
trials
It
is
just
depends
kills
on the mode.
38, assists are 16, deaths are 16,
Okay.
ammo pool is 10.
Yeah, so that is the same. That is current. Yeah.
But they don't show the meter in that mode, do they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even notice. But yeah, that I only played it a few times to test it because, like, again, I would love to. I just haven't been playing as much PvP. Period. But I hopped in and checked it out a few times, and I was like, well, it feels more fun since it was focused more on, I'd say, primary and not getting farmed from, people getting specials. So anyway. To me, as someone way more casual in PvP, it sounds better on paper because I'm thinking, well, TV's not just constantly going to be picking up, special ammo and farming me with his.
I double
shopping.
primary anyways.
There are some general notes about this. So as we said before, kills from there were some things we said before, but kills from special ammo and heavy weapons do not grant any points towards your meter. It has to be primary ammo.
Oh
I
wow.
award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
Oh.
Yep.
Blip.
Jumping off the map will subtract progress from the special ammo meter.
I have
Suckers.
seen nobody comment on that. I have not seen a single person comment on
huge.
that. That's huge.
It's huge.
I think that's
Trials.
awesome.
Yeah, no, it's big in trials. It really is.
Yeah, like nobody likes that feeling. That's like I mean, hopefully it's a good way to address it. Meaning either they got to fix the reason that people jump off or penalize them.
Right now, the
So-
reason people jump off is because, okay, I'm the last man standing. You got your teammates in your ear, like jump off the map because the longer you let
time.
this go,
Yeah.
the more super energy the other team's gonna get. So
Yeah.
it's just a way of blocking the other team for capitalizing on playing well that round. So
Yeah, and it in theory, if
It's
it's
good.
penalizing, it'll force people to engage and finish the
exactly
fight more.
finish the fight. Yeah.
Ammo is not dropped on death, and you will not lose special ammo you have earned when you are defeated or revived. Earned
love
special
that.
ammo will carry over between rounds, and swapping from double primary weapons to special ammo weapon will reset your special ammo meter progress. So you cannot run double primary and then switch and then have special.
Yeah, nice try, TV.
I don't do
I know you do a little quick menu switch.
That's
Yeah.
a Fallout play strategy. I don't do
Yeah.
that.
Man, he's really taking the hits.
He's gonna be like,
Hey,
wait, what happened?
He takes shots at me every week on his Zerg videos. I'm gonna take advantage of the opportunity to
I will say,
Throw
as
out some
someone who, just started in Destiny 1, and like, even though that change was made a long time ago, that, right, when you die, you don't have special ammo anymore, right? You lose it. I still, like, I can't tell you how bad I am. I would constantly be shooting a blank gun, be like, what the God? I mean, it doesn't help that I'm streaming at the same time, but meaning when I look at this, I'm just like, that's nice that if I have special ammo, the only thing
You
I'm going to
earned
be
it.
tracking is, I mean, there might be a couple rules in there, but I'm just like, I'm either out, and it doesn't matter that I died and respawn and all this stuff. So that to me is just a nice improvement. but part of that's just in my Destiny 1 brain of being tied to that.
My only like moderate concern here is this going to make snowballing even more of an issue? Because if one team is just fragging, now not only is there a huge point difference and they've got map advantage, but now that team also has a surplus of special ammo from all that killing, and you can't do anything about it. You're shoved into your spawn against snipers and shotguns and supers that you can't put down because you just have primary weapons.
But if they're using it, then they're not earning more, right? So they have to.
Oh, that's true.
I know what you're saying, but in other words, right, because you have to get primary kills, right?
Yep.
So in other words, if they're sitting on the reserve, what are they doing with it? They either don't need it. I mean, in concept. I mean, I think your point holds, but like when I look at it, I'm like, well, but that means that if they go through it, they're going to have to go back to like a slightly different, let's call it, style of farming you of primaries. I mean, you would know way better than I do, but at least looking at it, I'm like, wouldn't it force them, depending on,
Well,
how
it depends.
they're
At that point, Mercy Rule might kick in if they've snowballed enough to get special and then farm you with it for another minute or two. It might be too late. I don't know. Just raising questions.
Yeah.
All right. Next, we have special weapon archetypes. Now, they do say specifically, like we said earlier, to offset increased health and make up for reduced uptime. This is why things are getting buffed. So, trace rifles, shotguns, and fusion rifles are having an increased base damage by 20%. Glaives increase projectile damage by 20% and increase melee damage by 16%.
Again, it's so weird to read this with it's the health change and the shield change too. Like you can't just be like, sweet, a 20%. It's not that really.
They call it
just to help bring them
all of a sudden.
It's to help bring them in line with that change.
Heavy weapon archetypes. Grenade launchers are having a reduced detonation damage by 5%, and machine guns are having an increased base damage by 20%. TLDR, when you play Crucible, everyone just uses a grenade launcher and shoots you with it, and that's all they do. So use something else, is what they're trying to say. Use another thing. Then our final part of the big patch stuff, Fighting Lion is getting a decreased damage versus players in Crucible by 20%. Thank God.
Yep.
Screw that up for years.
Well, because it's just like no one's gonna have special ammo. You're just gonna be able to spam your Fighting Lion forever. Yeah, no, I'm very happy about that. Devil's Ruin decreased charged beam damage against players by 15%. I get it. It's basically a fusion rifle before people have a fusion rifle. I get it.
Like, I don't know. I don't really
get it.
I don't really use Devil's Ruin, and it only became meta in Checkmate. So part of me does sympathize with Devil's Ruin mains who have loved the thing for years, and now suddenly Bungie decides they're going to make this other game mode the standard and nerf your favorite thing. When it used to just, you know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah, no, I do get it. I used it a lot before the trick sleeves change, but when they did the trick sleeves change, I was like, Devil's Ruin right away, because the way that it works now is if you get a kill, it automatically reloads your sidearm. So you could just stand there going beam. It would just beam forever.
Yeah.
It would never stop beaming. So I started using it because of that. And I was like, this is so cool. This is like the coolest trick sleeves interaction that I can do. So yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say like that's a valid point. Favorites and is it fun? But like in a game that this is hinging on PvP here, like I think that's a very bad thing, right? To have like if you're using it every time you play and you use it for a year or two, like doesn't that speak to like, all right, we have all of these amazing builds and weapons and you're only using this one thing. Again, from a favorite side, I'm like, oh, that's my favorite gun. But it's also an exotic. It's not even like a special thing you crafted or made. You know what I mean? You might have got a catalyst, but I don't know, right? Like, meaning it's different to like nerf an archetype but it's just like one gun. There's like so many.
No, I get it. I'm not saying that I think it's a bad idea. I think obviously if we're moving to a checkmate style standard.
Yeah,
It makes sense that you're going to nerf something that basically gives somebody a special weapon interaction with kinetic ammo. It makes sense. Or with primary ammo, sorry, not kinetic.
Yeah, I didn't think you were saying it was bad for the. It was you were being sympathetic to that, which I
Yeah,
think
just
is very nice of you. Yeah, it's that Midwest nice, But yeah, like I was just thinking, like if there really are people who are using like Devil's Ruin every match and Le Monarch every match, like for a year, I think that speaks to the state of PvP as well. Like you really would hope that, yeah, that's not what it's like, other than rare cases.
Yeah.
Now we have not Devil's Ruin, Crimson. Reduced flinch dealt to players by projectile impact by 17.5%.
Get wrecked, Crimson.
It flinches a lot. Yeah. Now this one, Forerunner. Increased damage versus players in Crucible by 20%. Again, people have more health, but
42%.
and it's a special ammo weapon, so. And Symmetry increased revolution damage versus players in Crucible by 16%. There we go. So that is all of the stuff coming on March 5th, at least from what we know so far. They do, again, mention that next week from the PvP Strike team, we're going to get information on new rewards, game modes, matchmaking, spawn tuning, trials updates, and more.
Wow.
It's a lot of stuff. It really is a lot. It's a lot of stuff.
That's why I'm kind of likening this to another Forsaken era shift. I think it's going to be a lot for people to process and to get used to.
There is quite a lot. There's a lot in here.
The PvP needs a good shakeup. Like,
It does. Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt.
Big shakeup will be nice. That's pretty much it. They just have some Luna New Year stuff. So there's an emblem that you can claim if you haven't already. There's going to be Year of the Dragon Eververse stuff to celebrate Lunar New Year. And then they announced that Dead Cliffs is the map you're going to play on. Oh, actually, this is something I need to mention. The Destiny 2 Humble Bundle. So if you know anyone who is even slightly interested in playing Destiny, this is literally the best time that you could do it. So from February 13th to the 27th, it's called the Destiny 2 The Story So Far Bundle. And this is available at Humble Bundle. The Steam versions of all currently available Destiny 2 expansions, along with the 30th anniversary and Forsaken packs, can be acquired by tiers. And as is custom with Humble Bundle, when you pay for a higher tier, you get the contents of all the lower tiers as well. So the top tier bundle gets you Forsaken, Shadowkeep, Beyond Light, 30th Anniversary, Witch Queen, Lightfall, and your annual pass, which also includes Ghost of the Deep and Warlord's Ruin Dungeon, and the 4 Seasons launch during 2023 for $40.
So
actually
you can just apply
deal.
this to the free base game, and you've got your current for $40.
Yeah.
That's amazing. They should offer this all the time.
They really should. Yeah.
Like, even if it's not $40, like there should be a bundle like this. Like, get
the story so far. It's perfect.
The story so far. Keep it called that, just so everybody knows. Like, it's real simple. They should have this all the time.
Yep. $40 for everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
very good.
I took a double take actually that just given, I guess it doesn't matter since Final Shape's delayed, but when I heard like Warlord's Ruin is included in that, I sort of did a double take. I was like, wait, aren't the keys individually, if you don't buy the season pass, how much are they? They're like, I'm looking it up. But there is a pretty significant amount of that price is all I'm saying. So meaning you really get a Warlord's Ruin discount within, isn't it just like 3.5, 4 months or something? So it's interesting, to say the least. Obviously, it's a good deal regardless, but that one just stands out to me if you're out there buying a pass for the dungeon key or whatever. Or actually, sorry, you had to buy the limited edition for Lightfall. I think, is that the only thing that includes, I believe, right, the 2 dungeon keys? Otherwise,
I have no idea.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that like many of us pay the $100 for the year, and like in a way, you're paying $100 to subscribe to Destiny. I always say,
yeah.
But you pay it, you get all 4 passes, you get 2 dungeon keys, and any of the free content they do. But in this case, it just stood out to me because again, the dungeon key, I believe, I'll look it up while we move forward. But That's a steal if you don't have the dungeons.
It is a steal, and also 5% of all the proceeds go to the Bungie Foundation. So, like, you're paying less money than you ever would for this stuff. Plus, you're giving money to charity. Like, it's the best time to do it if you don't have it. So yeah, big shakeup for Destiny. Big shakeup, March 5th. And then they're adding, they're adding new weapons to Trials. They're adding new stuff to Iron Banner. So, good times.
Yarp.
There you go. There's your Destiny update.
That's a big TWAB. I'm actually more looking forward to next week's TWAB, though, to see what the game modes and what they're going to do,
Agreed.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Oh, man, next week is a busy week, too. We're going to have a lot to talk about.
Tell me about it. Street Fighter, the Capcom Cup is coming. It's all week long, like every day, just more and more. Street Fighter starts tomorrow, 2:45 Eastern time, just if you're setting your watch by it. The last chance qualifier.
Well, if you would like to know what games are coming out, big ones, on the 20th, Nightingale, which I'm sure you're going to try.
Yes.
Of course, TV.
All over it.
Yeah, which is a survival game, kind of steampunky. Pretty cool. They're doing pretty cool stuff with it. And then on the 21st, The Last Epoch is out. Fran, you better play that. If you don't, I don't know. I don't know what's wrong with.
Is it a 1 hour demo, or we talked about this in the last episode?
If you don't play that game, I just don't know what you're doing with your life. I really don't know what you're doing.
I
I would not
don't know.
understand. It will
Skull
make
and Bones.
no sense. It will make no sense if you don't play it.
The Last Epoch.
Last Epoch.
Time
yes.
travel action RPG.
It is similar to like
sweet.
Diablo, Path of Exile kind of game.
Right. That's right. I have heard of this. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yep. So those two are coming out. I want to check out both of them. Am I going to finish Banishers of Ghosts of New Eden? Probably not, because it's 30 hours long and everything's coming out. So I'm playing Helldivers and I'm playing Grand Blue Fantasy Relink.
How's Helldivers treating you?
Helldivers is good. Yeah, it's I describe it. So people are always like, what kind of game is it? This looks like Outriders or like some other insert wildly different genre video game. I'm like, well, it's not a looter shooter at all. So not really the same. Oh, Bella is on the keyboard, please. Oh.
I think last week
Bella's
we came to
taking
the
notes.
conclusion it's kind of like a Left 4 Dead style game.
Yeah, so I've been saying that mostly is like that kind of experience that you have with Left 4 Dead, where it's you in co-op either with random people or a bunch of buds trying to survive, and it's just chaos and hilarious. And that's what Helldivers is, but instead of dead people, you're fighting bugs or automatons, and the whole thing is that you're trying to push back threats away from Super Earth. So everyone, you can see this big map, everyone's contributing to a percentage going up to push bugs or automatons back from Super Earth. And last night, while we were all sleeping in the US, they dropped a kind of an event that goes on for 13 days where automatons launched a surprise attack against Super Earth, and they've pushed like a lot more forward, and there's special events that you're doing to try and push them back. So that's currently what we're doing. A surprise attack.
Now, when you say bugs, this will be a deal breaker, because I'm trying to find new stuff for my group to play, but my wife is terrified of spiders.
I haven't seen any spiders yet.
No spiders yet? Okay.
No.
Well, chances are, though, right?
I haven't seen any spiders. They're like fake bugs.
Yeah.
They got armor on them. Armored bugs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That kind of thing.
Not
but yeah,
like
Helldivers,
squishy green blood pops out of them bugs.
There are some that have a big booty. If you shoot them in the booty, they will pop.
Nice.
Yeah.
The crit.
Green.
The crit is the booty.
Always.
It is. Yeah, the front is armored. The booty's not.
Yeah.
But it's very like Starship Troopers, silly, goofy, cheesy action movie vibe, and the characters talk while you're playing, and if you shoot a machine gun for a long time, they just start screaming and laughing, and they're just saying like "for democracy" and all that stuff. It's great. They've done a really good job with making it feel lighthearted and stressful, and they've also done a very good job with animations. There's lots of little just little things, details that they put in that game that are really incredible.
Is it like Left 4 Dead where you have like a cast of characters and you just pick which one you play as? Or do you create a character?
You don't create a character, but you go in and you pick these things called stratagems. So there'll be like airstrikes, a turret. You can call in like different weapons and stuff. So you kind of create your loadout before you go in.
Okay.
Yeah. Everyone's been asking when Briar's going to play. I know. We know
like
Briar would like it.
Yes.
Well, are you going to play with us? Are you going to play with us, Briar?
Yes, I would like that very much.
Okay, we'll get a DM with me, you, and Mylan.
Okay.
I've been playing with Mylan. I've also been playing with Rin.
Oh, Mylan? Oh, never mind then.
It's very fun. Very, very fun.
What is the countdown to Final Fantasy at this point? Is that like the week after next?
February 29th.
29th.
Okay,
we
so
are
that's still-
exactly 2 weeks away.
2 weeks.
Oh, snap.
Not next Thursday, but the Thursday after. I might be
forward to
calling
that
in sick for the 29th.
All the hosts of DCP are suddenly ill.
29th is canceled.
And no one can call your bluff and be like, well, she's just playing video games. I can see her on Steam. Because that's what everyone does when they're sick. Well, of course she's playing video games.
Yeah, I mean, you're working from home. What else are you going to do?
I'm working. So.
Have you guys ever done that? Like taking a day off or a week off to play a video game on a new release?
Yes. I've definitely taken time off, yeah. Like I remember I did it for, like I would have to do it for Destiny raids back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
And very rarely was I even able to pull that off. But, yeah. But never like a week. Like people taking hardcore vacation.
No, I wouldn't do a week.
Dude, they do take a long,
which I get, like, but it's sort of like, yeah, you're just sitting at home unwinding. I mean, it's like it's either that or like go touch grass, you know?
Yeah.
So like for your health, you probably should go like get outdoors if like you never get that chance, you know, with your job. But hey, it's tough to keep up with all these games. I get it.
Once life gets cooking, though, it's like, you know, it starts getting real hard to have like you time, you know? So I can totally see it. Like as an adult, when you get a couple of kids and you get a couple of like just being able to like sit there and devote like time to a video game where everybody else, especially if it's like during the school year, the kids are at school, you know, if your wife works, she's at work, you just got the house to yourself. It's a nice feeling.
Oh yeah.
And
I would wrap into it.
You're not going to be able to focus at work anyway, so
right.
You might as well get it all out of your system as soon as possible rather than taking months.
Good point. This actually reminds me, if you guys have never heard of this, and I don't know if it's still as much of a thing, but in Japan in particular, there was like lots of problems and warnings and issues with stuff like Dragon Quest when it would come out and Pokemon. Yeah, like it would legitimately impact the workforce.
That's funny.
And there was sort of, I forget the exacts, but I remember we would report on it at IGN now and then of like, oh, it's, you know, has an impact on like its release day in Japan. And because it's such a microculture in that way when you think about it. Like Tokyo, there's so many people from Japan and the workforce in that greater area. And man, like, so it affects a nation
games came out
in
like
some
Tuesday,
cases.
Right? So just like shut everything down.
Maybe that was it. Is some things would even shut down out of like just we're gonna do it.
They did, yeah. I remember there were a few workplaces that were like, game's out. Like just we don't have anyone. Everyone's gonna call out sick anyway. Just
let's
like
not kid ourselves. You're not coming in. I'm not coming in.
Yep. It's gonna happen with Rebirth. That's a big one. Final Fantasy Rebirth.
It is a big one. I'm really looking forward to it. I did it for Halo 3, but unfortunately that was the one where, you know, the servers were down for like 48 hours. So I never got to play it. I was like, well, I'm never ever doing this again. I'm never going to take time off on the launch day for an online game, right? This is clearly a bad idea.
By the way, it's just something noteworthy and something for us to all think about. But at 8 p.m. is the DICE Awards. So for all the people that complained about the Game Awards and not giving the developers their speech time and right? Then go watch the DICE Awards right if you're live as soon as, you know, maybe the show is ending. But regardless, catch the VOD. That is where the developers give developers awards and people who make the games giving, their peers awards. So
Good stuff.
We talked a little bit about this before the show. Did you guys see or hear anything about the Xbox business meeting?
Right. The meeting that everyone was like, this could have been an email.
It totally should have been an email, just like every other business
above.
thing. There was some interesting stuff that came out of it. They said that there's 4 games that are going to come to other platforms, but they would not specify which games they were. But they did specify it does not include Starfield, and it does not include Indiana Jones and the Circle
The Ring of
Wisdom.
Truth.
Yes.
Yeah, the reported rumors are Hi-Fi Rush, Pentiment, Grounded, and
Sea of Thieves.
Yes.
Which
those are the rumors, not confirmed.
Yeah.
But like, if you look, you're like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
It does make a lot of sense.
Xbox fanboys are mad about those ones.
Yeah, that's
pretty silly.
Yeah, I mean, there's erosion, right? So I think that's like when I've had some brief conversations on Twitter or whatever, I get the sentiment, right? It's like you're clinging, a lot of fans, right? Where this is your identity and your sports team, right? Like any erosion of that, you take pretty personally. But that was I'm like, does it really matter? Like, they're like, yeah, because it's fewer games in the catalog. So therefore, fewer people are. I mean, that's how they think of it from exclusives, right? Meaning, why are you going to buy the Xbox? Oh, you know what? I will just get Switch 2 or whatever. Like, that is where they're coming from. And like, I understand that, but as I think we talked about it last week too, like, these are also very windowed. Like, Hi-Fi Rush would be over a year later, and like,
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It's, Sea of Thieves, I could see. But again, that should be good. If you're a fan of Sea of Thieves, I think this would be exciting for you.
I have only ever played Sea of Thieves and Grounded through Xbox services, and I'm happy because I think that Grounded is probably, in my opinion, the best survival game to come out in the last 3 years, period. And the fact that more people are going to get to experience it, it doesn't faze me. If anything, I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah, I think with Sea of Thieves and like anything that's a multiplayer game where population can only grow the game, like it's a win for anybody who's playing the game. For people who aren't playing the game or just mad that they're losing exclusives, like, who cares? Like, your opinion doesn't matter. That's not like you're not even playing the game.
Yeah, if you put aside development challenges, I maintain that like exclusivity is bad for the consumer all around. And what I mean by that, right, is there is this negative effect of having multi-platform and trying to release on all platforms. It just continually is a problem. That I'm like, thank God.
I don't really mind
exclusives.
What I don't like is when they do third-party exclusives. Like if Sony wants to fund development of a video game for the PlayStation, or Xbox wants to do it for the Xbox, that doesn't bother me at all.
Wait, use an example, because what do you mean by that?
Like if Sony wants to fund the development of God of War Ragnarok for the Sony PlayStation 5, that doesn't bother me at all. What bothers me is when they buy Call of Duty exclusive rights for a year, and like, so now,
right, I see,
like,
Rise of Ronin.
Yeah, something like that.
Or Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy is a good example.
You just like paid for exclusivity on your console.
Yeah.
Like, that's what it irks me, because now you've made a decision for me as opposed to just providing good value.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting though, because like, I mean, I totally get the point, but it's a little subjective in the sense of like, well, it's not subjective. It's like those are already third party. That's what you're saying. When they're already previously at some point in time, they were third party. Like Final Fantasy, I think, is a good one. Like, it's not always just been like coming to PlayStation first.
Right.
Yeah. And I would use that as an example. I'm like, yeah, that's lame. I wish at a minimum it was coming out on PC at the same time.
Yeah, I do wonder what shape Square is in right now, like financially, and like if they can afford
literally
to like
that?
develop multi-platform. Like, what are they like? I really don't know. I don't have any insight on how big Square is. I know they've been selling studios off, and they got to talking about doing not microtransactions. What is it? Like the selling gifts on the internet.
Expansion. Selling gifts on the internet?
Yeah,
you mean being like an Etsy creator?
Yes.
What are you selling?
Get that.
Is Square Enix on Etsy? Like, baby.
Oh, come on, help me out. You know,
Like toys?
one-time
Merch?
digital purchases.
Oh, NFTs.
NFTs,
And crypto. Oh, a crypto bro Square side. Okay. Anyway, what are you even saying? Yeah, what shape is Square in? Yeah, I mean, all I will say, I look at a company like Capcom that is kind of crushing it right now, right? Yeah. And so, didn't Street Fighter come to Xbox, PC, and PlayStation at the same time?
Yeah, but Street Fighter 5 was PlayStation
Resident
only.
Evil remake. Wait, what was PlayStation only?
Street Fighter 5. In fact,
but that was
5,
the rumor is that Street Fighter
before.
5 wouldn't have got made because Capcom was so financially destitute at the time, and Sony hadn't paid for it. Street Fighter 5 might not have been made at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think there's a nuance there, but I mean, I think that just speaks to like where you're at in your business versus like what it should be. In other words, like
right. I don't know where.
Like, yeah, I don't see
though.
any reason why Final Fantasy has now become this. Actually, Final Fantasy VII I can see because it started on PlayStation, like how there's like a sentiment to that, but
yeah.
But still, like we're at a point where Final Fantasy should be a multi-platform game, and it is a shame that it's not on Xbox as well. From a tech side, I mean, you're not going to get it on Nintendo Switch in its current state. So,
yeah.
Well, we also had PlayStation be like, we're gonna be putting our games on more stuff too, because like they just had Helldivers. Perfect example is a Sony game. They launched it on PC and they've got crazy numbers on PC. It's doing really, really well. So TLDR, companies like money, and you make more money if you put it on more things.
Yeah, right. I worry that Sony is more on like the live service and multiplayer online stuff. That's part of the reasoning there. In other words, I would like to see them adopted across the board, Death Stranding 2, etc. But
yeah, well, they did put Death Stranding and God of War and
eventually, yeah,
not.
And if you look at if you look at the timing, that's exactly it. It's this dabbling, and then and you read the Sony financial reports, you actually see like they're making money. But they're obviously very protective of like selling the consoles, but like they're making money, which just I want to pull my hair out. I'm like, why are we waiting so long for like God of War Ragnarok to come to PC? Because they want to sell the hardware and get you in that ecosystem. Like there's a lot of like what happens after someone gets into the ecosystem for a decade. I mean, Xbox has admitted it. They're like, oh, now they're in the PlayStation ecosystem. They're outselling us 2-1. Like. That's what happens, which you can see why they do it, but from a gamer side, it's frustrating.
They also mentioned at that meeting that the next Xbox is going to be the biggest hardware jump ever for an Xbox.
Okay, so I'm going to be real with you. I have zero reason to have an Xbox, regardless of how good your Xbox is. Because I have a PC. If you have a PS5 and a PC, you are covered for every single game ever. So if I was just a console gamer, I would just go with PS5 because like most of the things are available on PS5 as well. But yeah, there's just no reason for me to get an Xbox.
Yeah. I mean, I totally agree with you because I'm in the same boat. I bought the last Xbox I bought was an Xbox One X because I have a PC, right? So I don't have a need for one at all. But that's a value proposition too. Like I'm lucky enough that I can get a PC and run these games. But if you had to choose, it's like
consoles are no joke expensive nowadays. Consoles for $600.
But not as much as a PC and the monitor and the mouse and keyboard and all that.
I mean, you don't have to go top of the line for a PC these days.
I mean, but that's the thing. I hear a lot of people like, dude, you can get a PC like $850. Yeah, not monitor, mouse, you're like $1,500.
Yeah,
no matter what you do.
That's true, but
unless you buy used,
you don't include the price of your TV in the price of your PlayStation.
No.
Anyway.
But anyway, yeah. Did you mention the Diablo 4 thing?
I did. I love it.
Yeah, Diablo 4 is coming to Game Pass.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting because that is not a full year. So it came to Game Pass, will have on March 28th, which is shy of its summer June 5th release date, I believe. So it's just interesting, right? Like that was part of the Activision Blizzard buyout. It's actually big news in that sense. You see the first result of that buyout. They said, we're not even going to let that go a year. We're putting Diablo on there. And you know, I think if you look at it, that's just putting on Game Pass. Like it's not an exclusive game anyway. So
no, but that's a nice Game Pass add-on, right?
oh, it's huge.
It is, yeah.
Huge. Yeah. I mean, that game is huge. It's a huge franchise. I don't know, you know, actively now, but I mean, it must have. I don't even think they've reported on it yet. But I have a feeling it sold definitely 10 mil.
Really?
We got the sense it definitely sold 5, but I was just expecting it to approach that worldwide.
I haven't been a Game Pass subscriber in a while, so I haven't like paid attention to the branding. But do they still like separately brand it as Game Pass for Xbox and Game Pass for PC? And can you just get like Game Pass Ultimate still, where it's just everything?
Game Pass
you get
Ultimate,
both?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there is still separation, and there's like a value Game Pass as well versus, remember, the EA Play stuff that's included, which is ultra confusing every time I look at it. People are like, "Oh, Dead Space is on," and I was like, "Wait, which one?" Like the because EA's got its premium subscription, but anyway.
Yeah,
but it is a good deal. Yeah.
I don't like playing things on Game Pass because I can't natively use my PlayStation controller. I have to use DS4 Windows if I want to play through Game Pass. But if I play on Steam, I don't need to use that.
Oh, can you just get an adapter?
Yeah, it's kind of what DS4 Windows is doing. Right?
Yeah, but I mean like a hardware adapter, right? Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
I have no idea.
Probably. I actually didn't really, because I always have my Xbox controller I just use.
Yeah,
that's
mine's
interesting.
a PS5 controller.
Do you not like the Xbox controller, Watts?
I prefer the controller that I use.
Yeah.
Usually.
I feel like once you
prefer
get
it
used to
much
one,
more.
I don't like mixing. I don't like going back and forth. I don't
So,
like integration.
The Pro controller hurts my thumbs, so I'd have to get Control Freaks for it, and that's like another thing. It's like I already have all of that for my PlayStation controller, so I just buy everything on Steam.
Yeah, controllers
because
are
honestly, like
now too.
Game Pass games, like there's maybe one a year that I really care about, so it's fine. I'm not missing out on much.
Anything else we want to talk about? Anybody got anything else?
I can mention Banishers Ghost of New Eden real quick because that did come out this week. It came out on February 12th. So a couple days ago. This is by Don't Nod Studios. These are the guys behind Life is Strange. That's what it's called. They also did make, Jusant was another one, and then they also made one called Vampire. I think you say it Vampire because it's Pyr. I assume. So that was their only like action game that they've made, and this is an action adventure RPG. So the whole premise of it is that you are something called a Banisher, and you're responsible for, if there's a ghost lingering around, severing the ties between the ghost and the real world, to allow them to go off into the afterlife, because their whole thing is that ghosts actually cause like bad problems for humanity if they stick around. They start messing with stuff, and even if they don't mean to. So
slamming doors, moving furniture.
Yeah.
So that's very dark.
Your last beer.
It's very, very dark.
Oh, the worst. Alcohol
Actually, when you
the worst.
when you load up the game, it actually gives you an epilepsy warning, but it also gives you a warning that there's a lot of people are not very tolerant of people in this time, and because of the time period that it's set in, 1695. No, racist. People.
Yeah.
Because it's set in 1695, they're saying they're staying true to the way that
to the period,
the white settlers would treat maybe a black woman who's here to banish ghosts. So, yeah.
Where's the game?
I love how you could barely call them people. You're like racist people.
Settlers.
It always hurt you.
Yeah,
settlers are always bad.
That's interesting.
So you're kind of near Boston.
Okay.
It's called New Eden, but there's like
tons of racism still in Boston.
Close to Boston.
Look no further than a Patriots game.
So you are a banisher. But the thing with this game is it's very, very story. It's a very much a story game. Like it's a story driven solo action RPG. It's got all the things that you'd expect from an action RPG. You know, it's got the upgrade trees, it's got armor that you find, weapons that you find, all that good stuff. And you play as both of them. You play as two characters, one who is in the realm of the living and one who is in the realm of the dead. And they have different reasons why you'd want to play as either of them. And the kind of thing that you're doing is, so you're deciding when you banish a ghost, you can choose to banish them, which is like a more extreme way of sending them to the afterlife. You can ascend them, which is a more gentle way, but it doesn't always fully get them into the afterlife. Or, as you will learn later, you can blame a person, which you will then take their life essence and put it into your dead partner to try and resurrect them.
Ooh, fun.
So the game is all about making decisions of like, should I bring my wife back? Should I?
Sounds like you've got plenty of racists to sacrifice.
Well, that's what I was thinking. I was like, well,
I'm sure they'll be happy to be sacrifices for the
do I
cause.
really want to put like a racist soul in my life partner though? Like,
that's just their life essence. It's fine. You're just stealing the juice.
They weren't using it well, anyways.
Yeah. So I've really enjoyed it, even though I'm not necessarily one who goes straight to super story game, but I like the setting of it. It's set with like a lot of demonology and spooky, creepy stuff and paranormal, and they use a lot of real world books, and they use a lot of Bible stuff as well, because of course settlers coming to America back then, kind of religious, a little bit, just a little bit. So they use a lot of like actual Bible verses and a lot of Christianity stuff in there as well. So I do like games that it's obviously a work of fiction, but a lot of the stuff that they're drawing from is real stuff. And I find that very, very interesting. So yeah, it's been good. The combat I would say is okay though. So if you really need combat to be super good to drive you through a game, I don't know if I'd fully recommend it. It's hitting people feels good, feedback is good, but like movement and parrying and dodging just doesn't feel right. It almost feels like it's a little bit delayed, so you want to dodge or parry before you normally would. But yeah, the story is really good and the voice acting is really good. And for all you Scottish people out there, the main character is Scottish and they used a Scottish voice actor. Because normally they just use a British person and tell them to do a bad Scottish accent.
Yeah.
So it's an actual Scottish person. But yeah, if you're into like that kind of theme at all, I think you'd really dig it, because they've really nailed the atmosphere. The atmosphere is very, very good.
it does look kind of cool.
It's interesting. Yeah, I'm actually like really interested in the world and the stories they're telling. And you kind of play almost as a ghost detective, because when you're choosing whether to banish them, put their life juice into your wife, or ascend them, you're trying to like.
Sounds grody the way you said that.
It's a little, yeah, it's a little.
Sounds so casually, actually. That was more disturbing.
Wait, who's juicing my wife? You back that
how
up?
the ghosts do it.
I'm a
Ghost
little
juice.
disappointed I can't still appear to people as the wife, because they showed their true colors like right away when you're talking to people as her. Like one of the first interactions you have is you and because it's a white Scottish man and a black woman. You walk into this home and the man is like, the help can sit over there while we talk. Like first interaction you have with a person, the help can go sit over there. It's just like, actually, I'm the Banisher. So that's me. But yeah, so you're kind of being a ghost detective, because when you're trying to figure out who this ghost is, why are they still here, you kind of collect all these clues and piece it together until you have like a really good look at why this ghost is still sticking around. So I like that, being a little ghost detective. It's fun. I like the premise of the game a lot. Voice acting is very, very, very good, and the story has been very interesting.
Story games like this, they gotta be short though. Like I can't do like a 60-hour story game. Like,
it's about 30 hours.
Yeah, that's about as long as I want to go, I think.
But I mean, it is an action game, right? It's not.
It is an action game, yeah.
Even though it has a strong story, yeah.
It is an action RPG.
Think of it like
yeah.
a God of War or something, right?
It is, yeah. I would very much put it with like a God of War kind of game, or any of Sony's kind of story games. It's very in that vein. And this is a double A studio. Pretty sure they're not triple A.
Or
Not
a quadruple A even.
Not quadruple A. Not quadruple A. But the game
Maybe I
looks
missed it.
really good. The game is very
Impressive,
good
guys.
looking. Very good looking game. I mean, they make Life is Strange. Like their story is going to be pretty good. That's what they do. They do very good stories.
All right. Should we do some Twitter questions?
Let's
Yeah.
do it.
I am not ready for that. Okay, there we go.
Briar's
You guys wanna do
camera's
Twitter
off
questions?
for those,
You want to do
for
Twitter?
those
Alright.
listening. Briar's
Too bad.
camera's off, and I'm bummed because I just wanted to see what he looked like when he realized that he let's get to those.
Wait, that's my job.
That's me.
Let's see here. Blaney McBlanderson says, "Hi, DCP. My daughter, who's in 8th grade, has a friend who started dating a boy in their class 4 days ago.
Gotta kill him.
Yesterday, he broke up with her by sending these texts.
Oh,
I think we should take a break, followed by peace out, gangsta." How would you rate this for breakup communication?
I think they Googled it from the sound of it.
I give any breakup text like a 1 out of 10, right? It's just
Yeah.
not the way to do it. But the follow-up peace out, gangsta, that's pretty good.
Yeah, they drop a mic too. Like, wow.
Yeah, I would say probably right away you want to be like, okay, well, the last part was pretty funny. However, in the future, we're gonna break up with people in person. Okay,
Yeah.
that's what we're gonna do in the future.
Yeah, like I'm not a parent, but if I was and I found out about that, I would make them go do it in person. I would be that horrible
Like if
person.
your kid did that.
Maybe I'd give them a first pass and explain it, but I almost feel like you need the life lessons. Like, look, you deserve the same, so you just need to go over there and
Yeah.
look them in the
Yeah.
eye.
That is a tough one. I don't know what I would do as a parent.
Feels like a good life lesson there.
You might
Honestly,
want to know,
shouldn't-
Briar. You might
It's a
want to figure that
teachable
out pretty
moment.
soon.
Yeah.
I just
It
don't
might
think
be a
you
bit
should-
late, actually.
Like,
Yeah.
if you're at the point of breaking up with somebody, period, I just feel like doing it over text, period, is like,
Yeah.
Well,
not
no,
the
and
greatest
honestly,
idea.
it's pretty
it's
lame.
good for, especially in your formative years, it's very good for you to get practice with difficult communication.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yes.
Like-
Good point.
Avoidance strategy is not going to help them in life. They need to be able to handle those kinds of conversations despite how uncomfortable they're going to be. So I would make it a teachable moment. Say, nah, let's do this the right way. It's going to be good for you. Because then it's not going to feel so daunting next time you have to have a hard conversation.
Yeah.
Because you know you've already been through it and you lived.
Yeah. I mean, I guess
I gotta make some phone calls, guys. I'll be right back.
you got a big list. Go through the old black book. Yeah, I mean, maybe I could say in like more of a modern age, right? Of like, I still think you should probably do that since a relationship is probably not only happening over like FaceTime and stuff. But I guess I could see maybe some exception for like, just did it over FaceTime. It wasn't that serious, but
Well, like if it was a first date, like a first coffee date. Like,
yeah. But
I think
again,
that's
like I
right.
feel like that's not even a breakup. But
That's
I
not a
mean,
breakup. Yeah,
Right.
you're not in a
Breakup, yeah.
relationship.
That's like
yet.
we're not having coffee again.
Yeah, that's
all that.
Yeah.
you know, I don't
This
think I
didn't go
do want to
great.
go out again. Yeah,
I don't like the way you drink
I
coffee.
wasn't feeling it. I wasn't feeling it.
You
It
joke.
creeps me
My
out.
wife still tells me to this day, she's like, the way you drink water drives me crazy. She's like, I
Do you
love
do
you
big
so
gulps?
much. I'm a gulper.
You're a
Oh
golfer.
boy.
That's what she tells me. I don't know.
Yep.
I feel like I'm a pretty stealthy drinker, but I guess not.
Do massive gulps.
She'll be texting me from a different room in the house. She'll like, stop drinking like that. Like, how did you know?
Rick Vernhout says, to each of the panel, will the changes to PvP bring you back? Is it too little too late? Dry rub or wet rub? I see what you did, Rick. Don't appreciate it.
They talk about barbecue, I hope. Oh, it must be a Briar barbecue.
It must be.
Oh,
Hopefully.
Come on, Briar.
Must be.
It's
Hopefully
your
not
job. Read it. Don't
thought you-
disservice the community that stands behind us. Read the full thing.
Rick Vernhoot is on my bad list, my naughty list right now.
Is it too little too late? Dry rub or wet rub barbecue briar?
Wet.
Oh, I'm all about the dry rub.
For
Is it
Briar
called a wet
specifically.
rub? Is that even?
I think
No, you don't
think it's
call it
sauce.
a wet rub. You
Barbecue
just
sauce.
say it. You just say it's
We're
got
wet
sauce on it.
rubbing Briar. We all
Yeah.
wet rubbing Briar.
That's a good point.
This is starting to
Like
sound better.
no waiter has ever looked me in the eye and said, "Sir, would you like a wet rub on that?
Yes,
No,
please.
no, they don't even say on that. Would you like a wet rub? You're like,
You want a wet rub?" Like, I didn't know you guys did that here.
Yes,
maybe.
I do.
Kids, go take a restroom break.
How does that pork come? That's a wet rub.
Crucible. Yes, I definitely would like to try them. I will not be trying them on March 5th because I'll be knee deep in Final Fantasy. You're going to have someone else try that out. I'm not leaving until it's over. Which will probably be May. So I'll get back to you in May about the update in March.
It makes sense. I think because that's when the new maps are coming out then anyway, right?
Oh, I can do it all in one. There you go.
Yeah, there's
See?
a pretty good
Efficiency.
chance I'll be playing Nightingale on March 5th.
I'll be honest with you,
chance, unless it's
nothing
really
in the
bad.
TWAB today was interesting to me in the slightest. Next week, though, I hope to be interested because new game modes, that's exciting. Like, percentage changes on auto rifles, I don't care. I don't really
Briar is going to replay that portion of the podcast to himself tonight to fall asleep.
Yes.
Yeah, I get that. I'm definitely excited about the shakeup of everything. But yeah, definitely more excited about next week for sure. I agree.
Endgame Express says, "Hey DCP crew, would you like to see any elements of Helldivers 2 come to Destiny? I love that Helldivers 2 wasn't even on my radar for 2024. Now I'm at work. I'm daydreaming about stratagems I'm going to deploy in the evening. Keep up the great work." You too,
I
apparently.
think I think so. Something that's really cool about Helldivers is that it always feels like you as a collective community are working towards something. Because the way that it works is you've got, so we'll just use bugs. So there's bugs in this one area, and then after you defeat a certain amount of bugs, do a certain amount of missions, you've conquered that area, and it pushes the bugs back to a different part of the map with different planets. Everything looks a little bit different. There's different enemies there, etc. So I think it would be really cool if in Destiny I could see something on a map in real time of the community working towards something. Because we've kind of had things like that with like Guardian games and stuff, but being able to actually see the percentage going up in real time is very cool. Very, very cool. Nice to feel like you're working together.
Yang says, "DCP, if you could change one thing about the gaming industry right now, what would it be?"
Stop laying people off.
Yeah, I'd like to see devs unionize.
I would like, no, that might be a little bit violent. I don't like Embracer Group. And they should stop it.
Well, that's the problem. They did stop. They are stopping.
The Embracer Group just straight up was like, how many games did they cancel? Do you have the number of how many they canceled?
Oh,
I can't type anything because Bella's tail is everywhere and she gets mad when I'm touching it.
I mean, it's a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, they did greenlight them.
Embracer Group canceled 29 unannounced games during a 6-month period last year. And they very specifically came out and said, our only goal is to please
the shareholders. Yeah.
the shareholders.
Yeah.
Like, that's what they said. That's our only goal. That's the only thing we care about.
We wear ties and suits. We don't
Business.
care.
Ha ha ha.
Yeah. Shareholders.
They
stocks.
said here. So they said our overruling principle is to always maximize shareholders' value in any given situation. And that's what they said after cutting 1,400 jobs.
The Embracer Group's whole gambit seems to be, Fran, you might know more about this than me, so feel free to jump in. But the whole gambit seemed to be like, we're gonna buy up this huge, like every studio that we can, create this huge portfolio, and then we're gonna sell it at a profit to the Saudi investor company. And then the Saudis were like, we're not interested anymore, and they got stuck with the bill, and they couldn't afford to fund the development of the games.
Yeah, I mean, I think roughly that was it. They're an investment company, right? I mean, I think that's the mistake that people are making with this one is like, Embracer Group, there's a reason why you didn't know the name before. It's not like it was Capcom or, you know, a storied studio that had turned into like a multi-developer studio, right? It like their whole goal is to take investment by companies. I mean, these are acquisition companies as well, right? And so, I mean, that's just some people's deal, but they took a ton of valuable properties and they just went crazy on investment without having the assured backing. But I mean, I mentioned it before, but I mean, I wouldn't blame full on like the people who took the money too, so to speak. But like there is, if you're going to do a deal with, but you know, kind of what you're getting into, to be fair, the CEOs of these developers and companies as well. So it's just everything seemed rosy, especially after the pandemic, right? Like, I mean, there was a lot of money coming in, and when it's flowing, you never know when a recession's coming, right? Or when so people are like, yeah, I want to make this game. I'll take the money.
Oh, apparently
the
today,
bottom drops out.
by the way, the UK and Japan are officially in a recession.
Yeah, I saw that.
There you go. Just a bit of tidbit of information.
But yeah, they did themselves in by having so many highly respected franchises and stuff that they just greenlit, got people's hopes up, and some things, like we didn't even really know about Deus Ex and stuff like that, really. But then it comes out that it was there, but then it's canceled. And like, now everybody hates them.
Ultimately, it just sucks when rich people ruin our fun.
Yeah.
and jobs for other working class folks. But.
Boo the billionaires.
Yeah,
that's what we'll do. We'll boo them. Maybe we'll eat them. Think about it. Go with a little wet rub.
Oh,
a little bit billionaire way.
Go on.
Gobalt says, "Hey DCP, repeat from last week. Tefty's been away from the show for a year now. Has it been a year for real? What's he up to? Wrong answers only."
I like this.
Oh, he's
wet selling wet rub on district. Etsy. Wait, were you saying? Sorry, what?
You just got to name this episode the one about the wet rub.
Yep.
What'd you say, Watts?
He's wet rubbing the police department. He's helping to set up the new cop city, where they're exclusively taking cops who have been bad to work in a factory for wet rub. That's what he's doing.
I don't think wet rubs are what you get for being bad.
I think wet rubs are a reward.
But they're doing wet rubs.
Oh,
they're not getting the wet rub.
Okay, yeah. Just wanted to make sure. Yeah, it's an important distinction.
Yeah, we miss Tefty. Hopefully, he's doing.
I
good.
miss Tefty a lot.
Yeah,
we miss Tefty very much.
Yeah.
Here's a little tidbit that I didn't know, even though the news was posted earlier today. From Software is now the sole owner of Elden Ring IP.
Oh, who owned it before?
Sony and Tencent investors helped them, the developer, publish it. So now they're going to be able to self-publish Elden Ring.
Yeah, somebody mentioned that in chat. And I was like, well, I don't think they've had any major problems. I mean, I'm sure getting stuff greenlit, but like, it's always good to hear.
Sure.
Yeah.
And it's a massively successful franchise.
Yeah. Yeah. When's that DLC coming out, Fran? You gonna let it happen in 2024?
You told me it was coming out in a few weeks, right? So that's what I heard. I'm hoping my skepticism that I was still right on calling that, but
yeah, they pretty recently. It was the end of last year before the Game Awards that they were like, no, it's gonna be a bit. So
yeah, the short. For those who haven't been following it, people were like mining Steam data and seeing like code updates for like images being added. And then like they do that all the time in general, and it blew out of proportion, but it could still happen. But like people turn it into the DLCs coming out. And I was like,
what I'm
Namco would have released a trailer.
An announcement. It's going to be like a trailer or something.
I don't see why you'd Steam drop a 20 million selling game, like shadow drop it, that is.
Grim Invictus, I've got a lore, said, "What's your favorite weapon foundry in Destiny and why?" I like Omalon because liquid ammo is a cool concept and their weapons look advanced yet fun to use. And he is kind enough to give us a list of known foundries, so we have like scratch our heads like, what the fuck are the foundries?
They've been listening.
Nadir, Haka, Tex Mechanica,
So I'm gonna give you the full list. There's actually more of these than I thought there were. Omelon, Hake, Suros, Vice, Tex Mechanica, Crux, Lomar, Field Forge, Dado, Black Armory, Cassioid, and Nadir. I gotta go with Tex Mechanica personally. I just like that Western kind of steampunk kind of thing going.
Yeah, not everything is in a foundry, right? I was like raid weapons aren't in a foundry or anything, right?
Not usually, no.
But I guess just reading that list, I'd just respect the Black Armory, so I'd pick that.
Yeah, Black Armory stuff was dope.
Black Armory is very cool. I think I'll go Suros. I'm always excited to see a Suros thing because it tends to be just like smooth shooting.
Yeah.
Miss Fool's Remedy up here.
Yeah, I love Fool's Remedy. It's very good. Fool's Remedy is great.
That's a sidearm, Fran.
Thank you. Not an SMG that you don't want in the game, which I recall.
I'm 2 button pushes away from deleting all of them. Do you want me to go ahead?
We know you got control.
Zachary Richard says, "What's everyone's favorite detective TV show? Lists could include comedies as well. Some examples: Sherlock Holmes, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and Criminal Minds."
Psych.
Can we count Fargo?
Psych was good. Good answer.
Psych was an incredible show.
Yeah.
I did love Criminal Minds. Like when it first started airing for years. I haven't watched it in a while now, but I do have very good memories of watching.
It's still going, right? It's just a different cast.
It is, yeah. It was always a show that I could watch, have a good time watching it, waste like an hour almost. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I loved Criminal Minds.
I like that newish Perry Mason show. I think it's on HBO. That's pretty good. It's a little dark.
Crazy that Perry Mason is still like a name that's going.
I know, right?
Are there any good detective sleuth style animes out right now or relatively recently that are any good?
Yeah, there's one that's kind of detective-ish that's airing this season that I'm enjoying. There was one last season, which was where you were investigating like vampires or werewolves and stuff. They were like not paranormal investigators, but non-human investigators. That one was pretty good.
What was it called?
Undead Murder Farce.
That kind of sounds like
Undead Murder Farce.
For a couple of seasons at least, Grimm was okay. That wasn't a bad show. And then I think it kind of went downhill, but
was
probably my favorite.
Kind of got hit by the writer's strike at that time.
Oh, it might have. I don't know.
Oh yeah, I have no idea. I think my favorite detective kind of based anime would be Psycho-Pass, though. Do they have a new movie coming out? Something new's coming out.
Something new's coming out. You can quote her.
What do you guys think? 2 more questions?
Sure.
CJ Estes says, so is PS5 and Sony just the superior product and the Xbox magic has finally faded away?
I think it depends what games you like as well. Like if you are a console gamer and we're not even thinking about PC. I think it depends what games you like. If you like the kind of games that PlayStation puts out, then that's going to be a clear winner, right? If you like Final Fantasy and you like even Monster Hunter was exclusive for a second there, or you like things like Stellar Blade, Rise of Ronin, Team Ninja games, then PlayStation is kind of a clear winner. But if you like what Xbox is doing with like what Avowed and Indiana.
Like to me, like I love games, so like you have to be multi-platform. In that position, so it's never as much as I've had my favorites and stuff along the way. Like, there's no way to be a Forza fan and a God of War fan. It's just not going to happen. So it's so subjective in that sense. But if all you do is play Madden and FIFA, like I don't think it matters much.
Yeah. Since I've been an adult and I've had enough money, I've bought every console that comes out anyway, just because it's kind of, I don't really care. I just want to play the games. I don't care what they're on.
What's that like, man? Being an adult and having money. What's that? Is that cool? Is that fun?
I'll tell you soon.
I'll live vicariously through you.
I will say this though. I feel like the launch of the Xbox One is still affecting the Xbox. Like that was such a botched launch, like so epically, that I feel like Xbox is still trying to recover from that. And we're on a generation later, you know?
Just because they lost out on so many what would have been dedicated gamers.
They
who then
had
just
so
stuck
much
with
momentum
PlayStation.
from the Xbox 360, right? It's like the Xbox 360 was popping. And then Don Matrick took the stage, and all they wanted to talk about was hooking up a TV and watching video through this thing. And then, you know, like digital only, and you don't own any games. You can't borrow games. You can't sell games. Like, it's just the whole message of the original Xbox launch was just, the Xbox One launch was just horrific.
And PS4, like that, I remember they sold me on record your own stuff, upload it directly from your console.
Yeah.
Like I was like, I don't have to like go out and buy a crappy capture card at Best Buy. You know what I mean? A capture device.
Yeah.
That was like revolutionary at the time, you know? And
how many
that's how I
started from that?
Yeah, that's how I started streaming.
Yeah.
That's how I started making YouTube content, 100%.
Yeah. Last question of the night from Hugo Rune 79 says, if you could swap lives with a sentient AI for a day, what's the most surprising thing you think you'd learn about the digital world, and how would you navigate the complexities of being a consciousness in cyberspace?
I think I'd probably find God in there, and then I'd go, huh.
I think
Makes
I
sense.
would be God. I'd immediately launch all the nukes, get these pesky humans out of here. They're not good for anything.
We're cleaning house.
Bags.
They are ruining things. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
don't worry. We'll all be dead soon, probably anyway.
We'll take all the racists and get their juices in our wives and be done with it.
We'll give them the old wet rub.
That's gonna do it, guys. Thank you all so much for hanging out with us tonight. We'll be back next week. More Destiny news, more other
Exciting week
news.
next week. Yeah. The 2 games I'm pretty excited about checking out.
What are
And then the
those?
week after that, don't call me.
What are the 2 games you're looking forward to?
Nightingale and Epoch.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna just be watching Street Fighter 6 competitions all week.
You're going to be playing Helldivers with us.
Yes, I hope so.
Well, I will make a DM, and you
Okay.
can need to check Twitter. Okay.
I will make a BM as well.
A BM. A Briar. A Briar.
A poo.
A Briar marinade. Briar marinade. There we go.
You're going to say a Briar movement.
Briar.
All right, guys. Thank you all for hanging out. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.